Hey friends, and welcome to another edition of Timmy Talks. In today's episode, I'm going to be making a 2,000-year-old Roman dessert. This should be a lot of fun. Come along. So for today's recipe, we're going to need sugar, flour, eggs, ricotta cheese, honey, and of course your tools to make your dessert. So one special thing that is needed in this recipe is bay leaves. And I happen to have a bay laurel plant growing in my yard. So here is my bay laurel plant with these beautiful bay leaves that have been growing. And this plant grows so slow. This actually is several years old. And I only need about 4 or 5 bay leaves. You can use dried bay leaf in the recipe, but fresh bay leaves are called for in this recipe. So let's pick a few leaves. Okay, I like these leaves down here. Now, bay leaves are generally used in the United States for stews and meats and maybe even a stuffing. But today's recipe calls for these bay leaves in the dessert, and they were often used in cooking in Roman times. And also, since I've cleaned and dried my bay leaves, you'll need a handful of bay leaves. And don't skip that step. It really is what helps make this a unique dessert. I'm gonna make a double batch, and it calls for 8 ounces of ricotta cheese. And in the early days, they didn't necessarily use ricotta cheese, but they used soft cheeses. So I've chosen to cook today with the ricotta cheese. It makes it almost like a cheesecake. And there's 16 ounces here. So this is going to be a double batch of Libum today. I'll use this whole thing. Nice and clean. And now I'll crack open 2 eggs and add the eggs to the mixture. And then mix these two together really well. And what I like to do a little extra to the recipe is to add a cup of sugar. Now, the original recipe doesn't call for sugar, but I find that the Libum without the sugar is a little rough to my taste. And I would prefer to have it a little sweet according to our modern taste today. And you can mix this in gradually until it's all dissolved. Okay, this is looking really nice. Next, we're gonna add 2 cups of flour, gradually adding the flour in and mixing it so it's well mixed. And here's the second cup. Again, gradually adding it to the mixture. Something else I'm gonna add special today are one of my Fumanello lemons. And I have a tree in the backyard and the lemons are just about ready. So let's use this one, shall we? Oh, that's lovely. While I'm in the final mixing phases, I'm going to also use 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And mix this really well. Okay, and here's the lemon from my yard, and I'm gonna use the zest of 1 lemon. Ooh, look at that. And then squeeze 1 lemon juice. There's a couple seeds, we'll get those out. These don't have too many seeds, which is really nice. All right, only 3. So the lemon juice of 1 small lemon and the rind of the lemon as well. And then mix this really well together. This is going to give it a nice lemony flavor. So this is the consistency that you should have, like a pretty thick cake batter. That's lovely. Okay, so we need to start to prepare to bake this, and I'm going to use my parchment paper on the bottom of the pan. Okay, so since I'm making 2 of them, I'm going to use the bay leaves on the bottom of one of them, the fresh bay leaves, and on the other one I will use the dry bay leaves. And just to show that you can make them with dry or fresh bay leaves. So lay your bay leaves out on the paper and then pour the Libum over them. I'm going to try and use half of the batter here for one and then half for the other. Now this can just sit in the refrigerator until I'm ready to make the second one. Now this is going to bake for 30 to 40 minutes at 375, but you need to watch it. You don't want it to get too dark. So every oven's a little bit different, so just keep your eye on it after about 20 minutes. While we're waiting for the Libum to cook, I thought I would tell you a little bit about its history. As you may know, religion in Rome extended well beyond public temples. Many homes themselves had their own shrines dedicated to household gods. And one of the foods that was offered in the altars of homes was Libum, and it was also used as dessert. The Penates were the gods of the household, and they were thought to protect the entire house. And before meals, food was offered to them, and then the household would then partake in the food that was given to the gods. The Roman pagan gods have long disappeared, but Libum exists still today. Ooh, it's coming along nicely. It still says it has about 8 minutes left. As I said, every oven is different, and since I'm using my little Ninja stovetop oven, I reduced the temperature down to 350, and I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I don't want it to burn, but it needs to be completely golden brown across the top. Time to take it out. Oh, that looks lovely. And one thing I like to do, and of course the original recipe does not call for this, but I like to put a little powdered sugar on it. And then cut off a piece. And then the surprise is that we add honey to it, and it's supposed to be eaten drizzled with honey. Okay, since I'm eating a over 2,000-year-old recipe, I broke out my vintage Franciscan ivy plate, and let's see, let's take a piece of Libum here. And then let's drizzle it with honey. Wow. That's fantastic. course, you don't want to eat the laurel leaves. But man, it adds such a really unique flavor. It's like, with that lemon in it, it's like a little lemon ricotta pancake-ish. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Now, I'm gonna make the other one with the dried bay leaves that I have. These got broken off in the yard and I saved this. So again, you can use the fresh leaves or the dried leaves. They're gonna taste exactly the same. And I hope you enjoyed today's edition of Timmy Talks. Boy, bon appetit, yum.